So right now, I just want to introduce our first artist, Noland, and I came across Noland's work actually on Instagram, and a lot of interesting things going on there in terms of language, image, um, and something that for me, I thought that would definitely be a part of Midnight Transmission. So I'd like to introduce Noland. Are you there?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I'm having massive delay. Test. I'll do my best, but it feels like talking in slow motion. One second. Test. Okay, that's much better for me. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so sorry to waste your time. Thank you for having me. And I know Orlando through some friends from the Fast Speaking Music Naropa universe. And yeah, we just met online, so some benefits. That's a New York City siren going by. And on an evil night, July 1999, 2 lives got vanished by a case of lying eye, sight of retrial postponed, indefinite, and the people free swarming round below say, oh well, that's just the way it goes. His meditation upon incarceration, a true roll of the dice. Will he wither his imagination, zap his dreams of artist life? Will he weep? Will he die by his own hand alone? Or will he build piece by piece a mind's utopic throne? He told you already, but you weren't there to hear. There were carnivals to attend, births to cheer. He told you before, but where were you at? He said the trial was a sham, and still you question that. We turned our ear, we wrote to the judge, we casted spells, but you wouldn't budge. There he sits, magician, poet, escape artist through the mind, bulldogs entwined on the assembly line, a journalist telling us who OD'd in there and died. Fortune teller man can see through walls, can melt cement with one inspired glint. See a time, 22nd century, ride where the idea of spirits and holding is ancient and unwise, karmically, polylyrically, corrosively, uninspiredly, deathly, was on another planet summoning virtue all depraved. On a silent vow while speaking, I was in an altered state. It took work to land back down again, trudging with a tiny morsel of grace. Took a walk quite riskily through a massacre on mystery and into the domain of a bygone poet. Shouted the words, the devil doesn't know he's done it, does he? The words of a bygone poet said, when he fucks up the water, kills fish, kills birds, annihilates people for money. We hold this myth to be potential. And why should he sit there, caged bull, while all go lolly-frolicking past his rouge-curtained tier, a private Buddha ballet mantra chant for getting through this second, and the poet is always off stage somewhere choking on red tape. The thousand black and blue curtains scattered throughout the century, teal and raining a chariot of injustice, contrasted against the sky composed of pearl dripping, and someone has cut the swath of dark cloth from diamond sky. Assassins at large, as soon as the word came spewing from the tongue, spun out, spinning a spiral of sound. It was like thousands of little thieves stood ready to stow away the meanings, shot and captured with a loud boom, a massacre on mystery. No more meanings, no more meanings, no more meanings. Like police, no poet typos in police report affecting jail time. Who pays? I know it's a typo because I'm reading it. Nurse unfiles record, unconcerned with archives, says patient violence shakes is okay. Vomit is okay, it's okay. And then vomit a concocted brew of high disorder with mal intent in the cracks, but wide, gaping mishears. Most poet work is cut out in any crack of cement, the rose that grows. Like if I say the word house, both gonna see a different house if I just say the word. So we're using all these other words. I don't really know what we're saying here. I see evil with malintent in the cracks, but wide, gaping mishears. In outlaw lands where you might feel compassion for the inhabitant of an unwieldy knife, tranquilize the judge with a tincture of distilled sound and seek a mystic unmocked. Seek a mystic unmocked and be still. Of your shadow mouth, of your carnival trail and trial, we hold this myth to be potential, like every word with its big letter and little letter, like the word know, capital K-N-O-W, like each of us knows no thing. He started typing on my face, and from his hands very violently exuded a type of fact that could permeate my vast number of mutations to comprehend their fate, usually turning, spinning and rotating, morphing, mutating, spinning around and around and around and around and around, excruciating, rotating. I start to lie, I lie down in another field, traveling to the expulsion of their minds, asylum, to the expulsion of their minds, garden. The thing about a secret, when you put it out there, someone might kill it. It's better to be a joker in robes that billow like outlaw carnival come to town, or mirror halls of shapeshift. This is a piece about another recently departed poet. You can hear me okay, yeah? You're real far away in that little box over there. It's all good? Okay, I won't be too much longer here. This is another departed poet who was an activist. He's actually on the wall up there. He's watching you. Liberty pursued must flee. Liberty pursued must flee. The de-arrest looked like this, with all of them running back and forth across the Brooklyn Bridge. Moment to moment, shape-shifting. He could turn himself evil, he could turn himself good. He could turn himself evil, he could turn himself good. He was bearing prophecies and suggestions to the state, with signs speaking overhead, thrust down into speeding cement, where spiritual starvers went jumping and certain jumpers went down. The process of being saved by his comrades, with them pulling on his bottom half and the state gnawing at his mind and posture. Our protagonist got a taste of an off-world. Though he woke in a cell block, he later transformed his cells, and by night was back on his tricks, playing music for the governor, and for people he said were really there. Roaming parks past the final hour, talking to night and to people he said were really there. The DRS was his taste of an off-world. He had gotten this tiny lick taste of freedom. He was spun off and set out on the feeling of escape. At any time he needed, he could shut his eyes and access the feeling of escape. Illuminated, be him at the summit or in the valley, the lid of arrest and confinement had blown off, the valve forever opened. No more would he walk like a silent cat concealed among his exploding visions, and if he was destroyed now in ecstatic flight, so what? At least he would have seen them. His visions tasted on the rim of the blast. It didn't matter to him now where he sat, in a coffin, in a cell. He was reckless by design. He had to follow his own nature. Few could escape these rituals and positions, but he did, throwing himself like a wild mare into the ocean, into the police line, thrashing like life was on the verge of collapse. He rammed headfirst into poetry, starved himself for 3 whole nights. On the 3rd night, he went out and spent pennies on bread and roamed the streets, feeding all the rich who starved spiritually. He pontificated on the theme of entitlement and said, if some cannot eat, I shall not eat. If some cannot live, I shall not live. If some cannot dance, I shall invent new forms of dancing. And he roamed and he roamed and he roamed the streets at night, singing to himself, climbing various needles up into the boiling heavens and down into clandestine undergrounds. He invented codes none could see. He sat in a courthouse, proving his sanity. He was Houdini writhing free. He was called by any name. He was music whirling through the whole vacuum, turning to electric fume, void of form. Nothing but getting free was real. All structure pulverized into cloud. Coins were maniacally funny. He was wild, on the edge of being free, so free that one day we couldn't see him any more. Liberty pursued must flee. Blue water for the suffering, blessed rock in the palm of the poet, encircling all things with an invisible ring of healing. Crowns for the quiet, badges for the undercover, scattered throughout the centuries, with ladders left propped behind the curtain. Surrender, surrender, surrender all form when the angle of justice returns to the posture striped warden on the chasing pennies festival throne, seeking to leave world liberated from painted cake. I am seeking to leave world liberated from painted cake. Angel of justice parade sleuthing down the road, dissipating form, disappearing what is known, a creature void of name, refusing to take shape. Free of philosophical, political, lyrical, mythical, parallaxical, spiritual, autobiogeographical, psychological, mind and spirit break. Slide up iridescent, go crawl down on your knees, down the shape-shifting avenue of Mercury's in-betweens. When the gods of communication descended onto this planet originally, they were thieves of saints and starvers seeking mercy upon souls. Where one spirit starts and stops, another is not told. A pelvic wound, a pelvic wound through a halo, a lie threaded through wounded TV. They get their tales from a different well than you or me. The war of reality, not so philosophic when it's the root cause of the blood sapping from the tree of knowledge. Thank you.